Howdy, Sparking Zero fans! A new DLC has finally dropped for Sparking Zero, which means there's even more stuff to look at in a way that the devs never intended us to. We're gonna take a look at a bunch of the blasts and transformations of these new Daima characters, and Shallot, as well as some other things I haven't taken a look at yet in this series. Starting off with Mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku and his transformation sequence. Firstly, gotta love the effects here. Really makes me bummed that we didn't get an adult variant that could transform up from Super Saiyan 3. However, pulling the camera out does just about exactly what you'd expect. We see the Super Saiyan model get replaced by the Super Saiyan 4 model, and it just kinda stands there until it needs to start moving. That being said, he does make a really funny face. Anyway, moving on to some of his blasts, we have the Dragon Strike. This neat attack where he charges up a ki blast, does a little flipperoni, and then dunks the ki into the opponent's face. It's a very cool attack, but breaking the camera shows Goku is pretty much just staying still the entire time. Also makes me consider that the opponent is just kinda standing there and taking it. He doesn't actually do anything to initiate the attack or stagger the opponent, he just does it. Interesting. And then for his ultimate attack, we have the Kamehameha Reversal. Which, yeah, it's a little silly, honestly. Most of the fighters in this series can fly, and anybody that could shoot a beam can shoot a beam upside down. They could have incorporated him getting hit back into the attack cutscene, since it's a rush anyway, but the effects are really dope regardless, and we see a lot of the same tricks we've seen throughout this series at play here. Now let's move on to Adult Super Saiyan 4, and his base blast, True Divine Dragon Strike. This attack is very funny. They move around a lot. But what's even more interesting is the bit where he's holding the punch and charging it up. The opponent is just kind of sitting nearby, totally fine. It's very goofy, and I love it. And next up is the True Flash Dragon Kick, and similar story here. Lots of darting around, but that spin move is just so good. And finally, his ultimate, the Transcendent Kamehameha. Interestingly, the effect that shows up after the zoom in on his eyes isn't tied to the camera. It just plays on the full screen, no matter what angle you're at, which is different to how the final Kamehameha effect works, so that's kinda neat. The wind-up on this attack is also really cool. But when firing at a normal-size opponent, the beam only appears for a moment before disappearing, because the rest of the attacks is just this tunnel of blue consuming both fighters. The attack looks way better against giants, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's move on to Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and his rush attack, Spirit Breaker. And this attack looks wonky with the camera broken. And like, fair, this isn't how it's meant to be viewed. Of course, there's all the classic cutting about, and when we get into this big orange tunnel, you can see that again, they aren't moving so much as the background creates the illusion of movement. The camera is doing a lot of work here. Truly a super sick attack. And of course, we have the final bit where Vegeta kicks the opponent down, which just looks great from all angles. He is my king. Let's take a look at Maximum Final Flash now. I don't know what it is about this attack, but I think the camera angle they chose actually hurts it. Firstly, we see the opponent just gets booted to the side, and then the beam itself is actually a pretty good size with some cool effects, but it looks so small in the actual attack. I feel like they either needed to hyper-exaggerate this one, like the Super Saiyan 2 Super Kamehameha, or do a profile view like this. But that's enough about Vegeta. Let's talk about Do. Really, the only thing worth mentioning is his ultimate, which is a lot of fun. And this attack kinda harkens back to UI Goku and Jiren's attacks with those flurry punches after the big stretchy hand grab. And of course, when this attack ends, we get this big fat blue JPEG that pops up, which the first time I shot this, I only saw the back, which has nothing. but from the front, it's just a massive blue screen with the little do graphic in the middle. And speaking of massive, let's talk about Goma. And his beam isn't anything special, but man, again, just beams have so much potential in this game. From the profile view, this beam looks really good. They just need to be a hair bigger, and I think the color texture in the core of the beam needs to be removed completely. If this was just a big, bright core, with the glow and the surrounding effects being the only color, I feel like it would greatly improve the beams. Anyway, off topic. Goma has one of these cinematic sweep the landscape attacks, and it looks awesome, especially from these various angles. There's just something so cinematic about a beam shooting into the sky. I don't love Goma as a character or these types of attacks in general. This silhouette is just really cool. Unless you're looking at him from this angle, then it's ugh. And taking a closer look at his ultimate, he doesn't even float up. He just teleports to a higher vantage, and the camera movement creates the illusion of his movement. But then he does start to float down to the starting point of the attack, and then he throws it. And the entire sphere changes color and shape, which is very strange. Even in the original attack, this is very jarring because it looks like this during the charge up, and then it looks like this when you throw it, and there's no transition between the two. The finishing explosion looks pretty cool from this angle, though. And hey, Goma also has a transformation.
Transformation can refer to many.
What the fuck? And hey, Goma also has a transformation. And I gotta say, I really love this entire sequence. And looking at it like this is just really cool. It's just all cool. For his moves, we're gonna start with Magic Missile, where he fires this barrage of ki blasts, and when they connect, he teleports to the Shattered Dimension to finish the attack off. I had a hard time getting a good angle of it, but green lasers. Green lasers everywhere. And then we have Magic Tempest, which low-key is kinda the same attack, though it is triggered by an explosive wave instead of a volley. And instead of teleporting to the other dimension, he just summons all dem balls and Hellzone grenades the hell out of the opponent. The effect of the explosive wave itself looks very good though. And for his ult, it's of course another big ki ball. And it looks cool. It actually gets pretty big, but of course before firing, it sizes down to the average size of a ki ball. I like that he's pushing it with his third eye though. There's just some cool detail work on Goma. However, the Daima characters aren't the only new fighters in the Sparking Zero arena. We also got Shallot as a part of the Dragon Ball Legends 7th anniversary event, and we're gonna take a look at what the ancient Saiyans got going on, starting with his wild cannon. For some reason, he just jumps to the right a little bit. I don't know why he does this. And then we have Meteor Break. And this is pretty much what we've come to expect from rush attacks. A lot of jumping around, lots of camera work hiding the cuts, but still a cool attack. And Rising Rush is the same story. Although the Ki Blast Flurry is really goofy looking from this perspective, we also get a better look at the finishing beam. And honestly, kinda small. But you know what's not small? Giants. King of segues. And in Sparking Zero, most rush attacks don't work against giants. However, some do. So we're gonna take a look at some of these attacks. Starting with the Daima characters, since they're fresh in our minds, we're gonna kick this off with Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta's Spirit Breaker. And not too much changes here. It is really silly to see the size difference between Vegeta and the giant, and how he just absolutely is tossing them around. And that final kick down is just especially satisfying. Now, all of Super Saiyan 4 Goku's attacks work on giants, at least adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Here's the true Divine Dragon Strike, which maybe looks even more goofy against giants. Look at him just chilling over there, waiting for the punch to finish. Now, True Flash Dragon Kick doesn't have any major differences either, but it still looks pretty good. Now, the big change is the Ultimate Kamehameha. The wind-up and even the initial impact is all the same, but the piercing shot is so good. The beam looks incredible as it passes through the giant. This is the definitive version of this attack. But leaving the Daima DLC behind now, we have Tapion. And honestly, this attack is just so much more underwhelming in this game than in BT3. I feel like they could have added a silhouette shot like they did with Bojack in Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta's attacks, but they didn't. And from the same movie, we have Dragon Fist, which we looked at in the last What is the Camera Hiding video, which you can watch when you're done with this video. And if you're enjoying the video so far, consider subscribing for even more Dragon Ball content. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Superhero DLC, because Beast Gohan also has attacks that work on giants. Firstly, his Beast Kick, which is just so sick. All of the effects, just this huge opponent absolutely crumbling beneath his strength. Oh, I love Gohan. His special beam cannon also works on giants. This wind-up is really great. I do wish we get to see more of it zoomed out like this, and the final shot of the beam piercing the opponent also just looks so good. This is just a gorgeous game, and this is a great attack overall.
Your prayers. I'm putting it all into one shot. Special beam cannon!
And lastly, for attacks that work on giants, let's look at Gamma 2's ultimate against Cell Max specifically. And wow. I mean, it's so cinematic as is, but being able to see the scale at play here, it's just so sick. The effects, the entire stage going dark, just the size of the final blast. Man, this is a cool attack. Now, moving into the last thing I wanted to look at in this video, it's actually not moves or transformations at all, but the summoning sequence for each of the dragons. Starting with Shenron. Pretty much what you would expect. Big flashing lights and a little animation he pops out of. But oh my god, he's so little! I mean, I guess he doesn't need to be huge or anything. He's just against a blue background, so there's no real sense of scale.
But man, he itty bitty!
And when he goes away, the Dragon Balls just shoot out from under him, and in a flash of light, he's gone and the balls disperse. Purunga is very much more of the same, but of course, this time we're on Namek. And he is a little bit larger, though still not anywhere near the true scale of these mystical dragons. And when his business is through, the same thing happens to him that happened to Shenron. Now lastly, we have Super Shenron, and this whole sequence was very weird. Firstly, these Super Dragon Balls are actually massive and cover most of the area that they spawn in. I couldn't get a good shot of Super Shenron appearing, unfortunately, but staying consistent with the trend, he is much larger than the previous two dragons. And hold on.
Why is the space environment not a stage?
And with that, the lookout, and all of the menu environments, like they're already in the game. I know this point has been beaten to death, but man, this space environment is cool, and I'd love to fight in it. Anyway, Super Shenron, very neat. Once you make your wish, you're simply transported in a flash of light, no special bye-bye effects. And speaking of bye-bye, that's gonna be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this What is the Camera Hiding in Sparking Zero video. If you want to see more Sparking Zero videos, I have a ton of videos like moveset reviews, CPU fights, and video essays, all of which you can find in my various playlists. And coming soon will be my final review of Sparking Zero, so stay tuned for that. But with that, I have been Gunchpot, this has been a video. Thank you everyone again for watching, and of course, as always, goodbye forever.